Hi, guys, and welcome again to our Ask the Expert program. And I'd like to introduce our Power Lady. Okay, our special guest today, Power Lady Jessica Chua. Right? Did I get that right?
Yes, Chua.
Okay. Jessica is a compliance director at Clik Singapore and is a risk practitioner with a demonstrated history of working in the financial service industry, in particular, financial technology. Her development and implementation of technology convergence in risk management covers fintech projects across ASEAN countries, including e wallets that allow for cross border wire transfers, payroll, and remittance. She works closely with regulators using technology to design and establish thresholds and red flag alerts of money laundering fraud. She supports distributed ledgers technology to reshape industries such as enterprise, government, banking, the age of blockchain, for secure and centralized infrastructure while creating an application with decentralized business logic. Jessica also holds an LLB accreditor from the University of London and is a member of the Malaysian Institute of Accounting and ACCA. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello,
Welcome,
everyone.
Jessica.
Hi.
Yes. Okay,
Awesome.
so um, now after sharing your bio, tell us, what do you really do?
Okay, it's a mouthful of my bio. I just
Right.
keep it simple. Um, I, based on my training and my education background, I'm actually accountant by training, but
Mm-hmm.
I pivoted into legal because I don't think I'm very talented in how to say using the traditional way of managing numbers and risks. So I have a knack of laws and regulations. So I further my study in legal, and now my job is actually an intersection between numbers and also legal work, which means that I'm not a legal like a lawyer. I don't deal
Mm-hmm.
with like day-to-day criminal cases or IP. I deal with IP application, but I do a lot of license applications, and my real job is
Oh,
to
you have a
manage
real
bad
job.
guys.
Okay.
To
And
what the bad guys?
bad guys in terms of money laundering, because when you talk about
Okay.
money
Oh,
laundering,
AMLA, like AMLA, right?
yes, it's AMLA, but
Mhm.
AMLA is a Malaysian, it's an act of
Malaysian.
Malaysia. Yeah. So when you go up further up, we call it the AML CFT risk or MLFT risk. So my
Okay.
job is to catch bad guys because when we do investigation, we follow the money trail. So if you
Okay.
are laundering money from illicit funds like weapons, um,
Mhm.
prostitutions, and say casino, property, corruption money, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
We follow the money trail. So
Mm.
number one for evidencing is actually numbers. Then the second part will be dealing with what are the criminal offenses, and then we can go by that because what we do is to help the law enforcers and regulators to support them with our findings. So
Wow.
yeah.
So
Okay.
you're like the CSI of money and how do you say that, money laundering?
Emerging CSI version of me in Southeast Asia scene. So
Awesome.
Okay.
with interesting projects, I can travel in a few countries, namely outside Malaysia with some Malaysians. I've done Singapore, Philippines, and Cambodia. And of course, the next market, if I have an opportunity to be, given, I would like to try into Indonesia and Thailand. These are the vibrant markets that catch my attentions. I'm just waiting that my
Okay.
next project that I can
Okay. Awesome.
given the opportunity. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, I
Awesome.
Chris, can I butt in here for 1 second?
Go ahead.
You said you're waiting for the opportunity. So are you saying that you're waiting for some bad guys to appear and you get to go there, or you're asked to go there?
Very, very tricky question, but I try to be a bit
Sorry.
more safe in
Okay.
answering your question. Now,
Hmm.
in terms of Southeast Asia, actually, people say money laundering is high here. I would beg to differ. I actually think that the Western country is more because they designed the sanction laws, they designed the whole entire system. So they
They're
will
just better at
probably,
it, right?
huh?
They're just better at it, right?
Yeah, they're better, but on paper wise, they don't
Uh-huh.
get caught.
Right.
But what I say that I would like to wait for the opportunity to get and to catch the bad guys. It means that when there is like the market is big, we say like 1% of fraud rate, or maybe the 1% or 5% of the money laundering risk. I get more transaction, I see more behavior, I see more suspicious, cases. Therefore, I can actually get better, cases to manage, report, or investigate. So, like an investigator, you do not want to just confine into like, say for example, a policeman. If you're just a traffic officer or a traffic police officer, you just get like, okay, fine, because of speeding tickets, issuing tickets, there's no challenge in that. But if you go into the homicide department, oh, there's a whole different thing, And I think as a lady, maybe I can say that I like to see how the pattern of the bad guys is trying to money launder. This stage, we call it the layering stage. And this is very interesting because they will use financial institution to, as a conduit for money laundering. So, yeah.
Wow, it sounds exciting. So do you have like a badge, like, FBI or, police? Yeah.
We need to go through exams, and we need to go through, fit and proper tests, and also we have to go through screening all the time. So in my job, you couldn't be a bankrupt, you couldn't have any criminal records, and you can't
Felonies.
have any CBT.
The serious ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fit and proper test will be conducted prior to engage a compliance officer, and you have to be squeaky clean in terms of your records. And of course, we are not law enforcers, we are just part of the whole system. And for me, if I want to scale up to my career, I would like to go into bigger markets like Indonesia or maybe Thailand. These are the vibrant markets, they're growing. And of course, okay, if you watch this movie called Catch Me If You Can by Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think Tom Hanks, is how Leonardo DiCaprio is running always faster than Tom Hanks, and the bad guys actually evolve, and actually they are pretty quick. They are quicker than the policemen or people like us. So in order to evolve and to go to the evolution with them, we need to catch up. And of course, you need to constantly upgrade yourself. You need to read a lot. You need to see the business patterns in order to, define high risk or maybe suspicious transactions. Yeah.
Wow.
Since you brought up the movie Catch Me If You Can, I think the guy's name is Frank Abnell, something like that, right? So, the guy was considered a genius. Obviously, it's based on a true story, and after he served his time, he served a limited amount of his time, and then he got attached to, I believe, the FBI or the Secret Service in the U.S., and then he started teaching them what he was doing, and then he started innovating on how to implement the security measures, right? So, one of the things that I always found is that, geniuses, it's not black and white, right? It's not whether you're legal or illegal. There's geniuses in every industry, in the black, the gray, and the white. So, but since you brought that up, and in my limited knowledge, the guy was like extremely smart. Do you have, or have you come across, or is it okay to talk about if you've come across any cases that you would say, man, this guy was smart, but we managed to catch him?
Okay, I can't say too much of that because
of course,
confidentiality.
Right.
Okay.
But I would like to share what I'm doing now in Cambodia. You might be thinking like, okay, if you are a proper lady, that you are, you have squeaky clean records, why are you in Cambodia? So I took up the challenge. I came here because I wanted something interesting in my portfolio. So in Cambodia, this is like, the Cambodian government got a lot of support from the Chinese government. And then the whole entire market was supported by the Chinese investors, or maybe the Chinese gamblers, because Chinese like gambling. I think what the casino is doing here is pretty smart. They actually, because casino, when we study money laundering, casino is one of the gray area that you can accept them, if you only have enough enhanced processes in place. And they're
Okay.
always trying to get into the gray area because, for example, one of the things that we do in compliance is that there's a threshold, like 10,000 is USD is the threshold. If it's casino in nature, you're going to have a lot of processes to identify that person's profile. But because of 10,000 threshold, they try to, so-called smurf it. You
Mm.
know, smurfing, right? Smurf is a cartoon,
Right.
right? They're small and they're blue, and that's what they are doing. They try to go below the threshold, and they try to escape from, not letting people to see the patterns of it. But of course,
Mhm.
we study that and we have training, so we know that based on, like, say, a 6 months kind of stats, we can able to map out what are they trying to do. So this is one of the gray area that I would say when it comes to casino business, this is very interesting. Same like the
Mm.
Philippines, the online gaming is actually legit. I think you know that, right? And
Yep.
started with the Chinese people. I've been to Manila 2 years ago. I was dealing with the SEC and the BSP, Bangkok Central.
Mhm.
I went to this Asian mall. Asian mall. There's a big
Asia Mall.
Asia
Asian
ball.
mall that they
Yeah.
host Miss Universe. Around the area, you see all the big buildings. Those are the online gaming, and I think they are actually going on the gray area. And you want to see the smart people. These are the smart people that who are managing the top management. These are the really smart people that you can say that they are going like the gray area. Yeah.
Okay. All
So,
right.
I mean, this is
Go.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if this is what our audience wants to talk about, but uh, I mean, we can move on. All right, we can move on from this. I mean, it's really exciting, and it's obviously there's a lot of things you can't talk about, Jessica. So we don't want to push that. But
Yes.
you
But
know,
let's make it a bit lifestyle because it's like dinner time and people
Right.
right?
enjoying the
Well,
dinner after work. So let's go with the flow. I mean, like
sure.
Okay.
if you want to chime in something like the movies and stuff like that, I'm happy to do because I have been outside Malaysia for about 2 to 3 years and
Mhm.
Okay.
working with a lot of different aspects or maybe business people from around the
Mm.
region. I deal
Mhm.
with a lot of Koreans, I deal with a lot of Taiwanese, a lot of Singaporeans. I just feel like when say like in Cambodia now, I feel like the
Mm.
Southeast Asian aspects have a little bit more power than the I would say the Westerner, because I think this is a booming area in terms of
Mhm.
businesses, the manufacturings, e-wallet. Let's talk about e-wallet here.
Sure.
Okay.
After COVID, a lot of the transactions and behavior change rapidly. Like
Yep.
I do not do online shopping prior to that because I don't have person
Before.
signing my package in my house. I'm always outside. But now, with COVID, you really can't go to shopping mall. It altered your behavior, you altered your way of purchasing. And
Mhm.
do you know that most of the e-wallet companies have their AI behind it? They actually
Mhm.
manage each and every one your spending power. They actually can map up using AI on data analytics.
Mm.
And then with the big data, you're being automatically, uh, look into some certain
Watched and
advertisements.
observed.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
certain Facebook advertisement just prompt out because you
Yeah.
typed some related keywords before in,
Right.
yeah, Google or whatever. So the whole entire thing was going digital, and of course we were talking about that in Clubhouse 2 days ago, that the current products, and of course in financial fintech area, if you're not trying to scale up or you're trying to really go into the same direction or even faster than that, you are becoming obsolete and phase out. So
Mm.
yeah, the e-wallet thing and the startup thing and the funding thing is really quite a trend now in Southeast Asia. I see a lot of
Mhm.
startup talking about funding, raising Series A, seed funding, private funding, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well,
so
you. Oh,
oh, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
yeah. So you're in Cambodia now, and you've been there for about 2 years.
2 years, one and a
Okay.
half years to 2 years, roughly that.
Okay.
I'm stuck here for a
Now,
year.
Yeah. So okay. So it's like you're stuck there. It's not that you can go and go out and come back, right? Right.
I'm
Okay.
waiting
So
to go back to Malaysia now, actually. I'm in the process of
okay.
doing that. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: since you've been in several different countries, and you kind of stay in Cambodia for about 1.5 years, right? So how would you say is the atmosphere, the social atmosphere, or the social environment? How is it different in Cambodia, let's say compared to let's
Malaysia,
say
Singapore.
Malaysia? Yeah.
Okay. The social impact here is that, well, it comes back to government policies. And of course, if you look into, say, Singapore, they do they did curb they have something called the circuit breaker. And
Yep.
when they mean it, they do it, they mean it. And it did, the COVID cases are under control. So
Right.
after, yeah, when you come into that lockdown and come out, like say Q4 of last year, you can see the Singaporean are picking up in their economy. And my sister is now in Singapore, and she told me that everything is okay. Now come
Mm.
back. Let's bring a bit forward to Malaysia. Malaysia, I think we've been locked down since 1 year ago. It was like, I think it
Yeah.
was 18th of March until now.
Yeah.
I think we are ending in 2nd of March in 2021, so it's coming to a year. We are still in the 4-digit kind of record. The
Right.
social behavior of that is that I think people are confined in their four walls in Malaysia. And
Mhm.
as compared to Singapore, they are recovering their economy. So, and
Mm.
of course, the patterns and of course, with the social impact of it, and of course, in Malaysia, I think people are getting a bit more demoralized. Like, the policy is a little bit, I don't want to mention what, but they actually was being a bit privileged and for the minister and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're getting demoralized. So you can see that with this social impact, it did have a direct influence under the how the economy is going to rebuild after the COVID, because we need to be resilient and get up quick. If not,
Right.
we are way behind our Vision 2020 that Tun Mahathir was setting it back in the 80s. Okay,
Mhm.
really, that then I was like, a young kid. I was thinking that we can have flying cars. We're gonna have like maybe equivalent Tesla in Malaysia, but no, we just like really getting into back to normal in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to Cambodia, the policy makers here are a little bit, how to say, not that advanced. So they still have a little bit of, how to say, uh, I don't say autocratic or but Hun Sen, which is the prime minister, he did actually make. I think he did make a quite a balanced policy in terms of you still can let some foreigner coming in, the key people coming in, and they
Mhm.
still manage to control the cases. I think up to now it's less than 500 cases. I'm not sure
I
the
think
data.
so. Yeah. I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the social lifestyle and the people in Cambodia now, I think it's just we never suffer lockdown. By the way, I've not suffered lockdown, so things are getting okay. It's just that now the hotel is really at my privilege because I can bargain 50% of everything because the hospitality industry is really going down.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's a good time to go Siem Reap if you're in the country, or maybe like Kamput and all these beautiful islands.
Less
But
people, right? Less people around.
and people still do something like Chuti Chuti Malaysia in Cambodia. They did, and the effect of that is not so serious as compared to last year. I think we have Chuti Chuti Malaysia in Q4 December, and it was
Yeah.
because of that we were shot up to like 5,000 cases in January. So
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
the policy making, especially the health policy, is very important here. Next is that how the digital economy can help out. Like
Mm.
in Cambodia, the digital economy cannot scale up that fast. You know why? Because of the infrastructure. Because
Mhm.
if you've been to Cambodia, I'm not sure you understand what is like spaghetti. Like the wire is still on top
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You see it outside everywhere, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Singapore, you see all of it is like underneath
Yeah.
the
It's all
land.
hidden.
It's hidden. So because of the economic, the digital economy, it can scale up that fast. You can still see that they are a bit traditional, but it's moving. It's still moving and it's back to normal now. So when you compare to a few countries, I do think that it's a blessing that I was stuck here for a year. But on the other side, that you can argue that it's 500 cases, but I actually doubt that the data is actually accurate in that sense.
Well, if you say that, then we can also doubt the 5,000.
Yeah, just because you have testing a little bit more people, you have more resources to test more people, it doesn't mean that it did happen that time was 5,000 or more. Because data itself, if you really want to look into public health data, we still have no way to verify
Correct.
source of it. So
Yeah.
so it a lot depend on the government policies and also the people in charge and the leaders still in the party itself. So politics did have a direct impact in terms of economy and building the society and also the social economic impact of it. So yeah.
Dee, you had a
Awesome.
question earlier.
Well, I had a question, yeah, because you were talking about the e-wallets. So, would you say that here, for let's say for business owners and
In
guys,
Malaysia.
yeah, Malaysia, right? Do you say that probably e-wallet is the way to go? Would you say that small businesses should really look into e-wallets, although for their businesses?
I think the question, I don't have the stats, but I think I'm not sure you know that the e-wallet, this is governed under Sector 4 of Bank Negara Act. It's actually called the e-wallet or equivalent to payment services provider. We have 40 over non-banks plus 5 banks. So it's almost 50.
Okay.
I think with the incentive that the government is trying to allocate in the budget, and also I think you see the Muhyiddin's speech, Prime Minister's speech, that they are allocating, I don't know how many millions.
56 billion.
Billion in terms of the 5G infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
You can see with the government help, they are also pushing towards that direction. And of course, back to your questions, whether the small size businesses, they need to also get into the digital, the e-wallet or the e-banking or electronic way of doing it or not. If you do not do that, your customer will ask you, do you accept payment in QR code or equivalent? If you do not have that facility, you're facing out. Technically, you can't do the business because the readiness and also your business is not able to provide in terms of closing the transactions. That's why digital economy is important in the sense that you can facilitate the entire transactions. However, how you're going to do that is your business model. And also the government is now allocating certain funds and budget and certain initiative towards that. And of course, I can see how the Prime Minister is really thinking that digital economy, and we have something called MDAC. If you're part of the MDAC initiative, you get some tax rebate or tax reduction in terms of corporate tax is really saving is a huge thing if you look into your financial planning. So I think if it's not a matter of whether the small medium size or rather smaller business they want to not able to cope with that, they must go according to the trend, because if you can't, your supplier and your customer may be asking you, really, I don't write checks anymore. Okay, I don't go banks anymore. What other ways I can facilitate or to really complete these transactions? If not, it's going to be you can't do the business, right? So it's extra. Like I study in my study ACCA. There's something called the Michael 5 forces. That is always an external environment that moving the business and they force them, and it's like a push and the force to push them to scale and to really innovate and to go with the trend. You can't be using an 80s kind of kopitiam business model and then trying to sell you can't, because things have changed and of course.
So somebody has to take charge. Somebody has to take initiative, right? In what you've seen, uh, in, let's say, emerging countries with like digital payment options, right? Who should take the initiative in spearheading or saying, let's go down this path? Is it the customers? Is it the individual business owners, the SMEs, or is it the government that says, okay, everybody use e-wallet?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, I'm not sure you have joined hackathon before. Hackathon is Shark Tank. You know the movie
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
equivalent. It all started with a business idea, and who initiate that? In my personal opinion, I think it's entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs, they are like say Elon Musk, or maybe like Mark Zuckerberg. These are the famous one, or maybe someone like Jack Ma. If you read in their bio, they did not say I wanted to be entrepreneur when their occupation. Yeah, they put entrepreneur, but they did not really come to see that, oh, I wanted to be entrepreneur. That's why I have the tag on my shoulder. I'm an entrepreneur. What I'm trying to say is that these guys are actually someone who is observing the market, and they're able to understand the pain point of the industry. And of course, when you are seeing a problem, and as every entrepreneur will know, if there is a problem, you can sell a solution. You're selling a
Right.
solution. So when you're able to sell a solution, of course, as a person or a few startup founder, they need to get funding to materialize, to do the R&D, to invest in machines, to invest in people or talent to build that. So that's why you go bigger by going into private funding, seed funding, you raise fund. And of course, in certain level, you still go out for pitching, and you still go out for your elevator speech in terms of government, rich people, or maybe some institutional investors like SoftBank, who are the one who invested in Grab initially.
Right.
They
Yeah.
grow so big. You see, when it can scale up, then you become a phenomenon where people can't ignore, because this entrepreneur is trying to solve a problem where we can just pay in terms of X amount of money or fee, we can actually enjoy that without going through the hassle. But what is the X number? So in all startup, people talk about like for example, Alibaba, they suffer for quite a long time. So I think
I
it
think
comes
more
to
than 10 years, right?
yeah, because
Yeah.
Jack Ma was really a hustler in that sense. But I think he started Alibaba in 1999. So in 2014, it was like 15 years of time they set up. So it was until he found out the how to say, we call it the break even in accounting, break even, or that so-called the X intersection point, where your economy of scale can scale up to very low in terms of doing business, then you shot up the
The tipping point,
100%,
right?
200% on your market share. So this is what founder, they must able to endure, and also they must able to have foresights into how the market change. They have to work very closely with that. So back to your question, how who started it in terms of e-wallet and all this techno stuff? I think it started with entrepreneur. They are a very important bunch of people in our society, because they are the brain behind the whole project.
Okay.
Awesome.
And when you said that, right? I've had a lot of clients over the years. Oh, I want to develop this app, and whatever the app is, right? So then you have two problems, right? Okay, let's say we talk about Grab, we talk about Food Panda, or in Indonesia, Gojek, whatever those apps or whatever those apps are, and then I'll ask you about super apps in a while, right? So we talk about apps, right? It's the age-old problem of apps where you're actually like the facilitator between for example, a business and the consumer, right? So, the problem is always, okay, I got to get these businesses on the app, and I got to get the consumers on the app.
Yeah.
So, I have my opinion. Sometimes it changes from day to day. Which should we focus on first? Should we focus on getting the business into the app, or maybe in your case, getting a business to use an e-wallet or a digital payment system? Get those first, or we get the clients, or I'm sorry, we get the consumers to say, hey, I want to use this to pay. Can you please accept it?
Okay, I'll try to answer your question in my own way, because
Yes.
startup founder may have different way of answering that. I'm coming
Right.
from more like a compliance officer point of view.
Sure.
Okay, now before I raise an example, just say that in terms of in fintech area, we normally our CMO or our chief commercial officer, they will normally segregate into like 2 to 3 teams. First is that you need to get merchant acquisition, which is the
Right.
seller side. Then you will have user acquisition, which is B2C or B2B, right?
Right.
So the marketing of it is very different, because one is seller, one is a buyer in the sense. So the way they give rebates, the loyalty program is catered to different market. Then
Mm-hmm.
let's not be technical, because I have no how to say experience in terms of advising that, but I work with my senior management. So when I see that, the way they also go down to deep dive into demographics, customer behavior, and so
Mm-hmm.
whatever. They're not talking about it. But to answer your question, there will be like 2 ways of looking into it. If you have certain merchants, you need to also look for the right customer who is going to download the app and use it. You cannot use a platform where they are not trying to solve the problem of buyer meeting seller, and they can connect into, let's say, 5 minutes of the transaction. Because if
Okay.
I'm using the app, it's taking me longer than me queuing up in Starbucks buying the coffee, I'd rather just go out, because I can see that I don't need to go through the hassle of downloading the app, KYC,
Yep.
that kind of stuff. So to answer your question, that they must have a balanced approach. It all go down to their business model, how they write the business model initially before they fundraise. Now, let's talk about Airbnb. I think I like that example.
Yeah.
So the app concept is that no one is going to own anything in their balance sheet, but they're able to do
Mm-hmm.
the business of a hotel business. Okay. So then you're going to ask me, should we get the hotel first, or the backpackers, or the guests first? This is like a chicken and egg question. If you
Yes.
can get very good deal from the hotels, the user will come. Wait, it also comes with the product, the service, and also how are you reaching your company ethos and your company marketing scheme. That's why marketing is very
Mm-hmm.
important in terms of
Mm.
product development, and also the market how to say, matching the market's demand on that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you get talent, and you get the real intelligent, smart people coming in. They play with the numbers, they talk about demographic, they look into if the app has the geolocation, they can gather information, they can use the data effectively, they can forecast, therefore they can make effective decisions. So to answer the question is that, you want to get the hotel first, or you're going to get the guest first? I personally think that you need to do it both in the same.
Concurrently.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you guys think?
I Well, when you talk about Airbnb, okay, Airbnb, and then we talk about Oyo. You know Oyo, right?
Yes.
Right. So Oyo, uh, kind of similar. Whatever their ethics are, whatever it is. All right. So if I remember correctly, how Oyo started was, they just went to hotels and said, "We'll get you more business."
Yeah.
And then any business that you get, funnel it through us, and then we'll renovate the place, and we'll do the marketing, and then we'll have the registration. So in that model, I think getting the properties was more of a priority. And when we talk about Airbnb, I think it would be easier, or actually maybe more priority, uh, to get the host on the platform first, so that when you're ready to like really massive roll out, the guess would be, what's the point? There's only one unit in this whole town. What's the point of using Airbnb, right? So we must have a selection. And then when we have and then we'll be going to Grab. I think Grab started with Uber. Before that was Lyft, right? Lyft,
Yeah.
Lyft. They had the pink mustache on the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to have, that one's a little bit different because you got to have the drivers, to fulfill the trips. That one I think had to be more concurrent, right?
So it
But
depends. That's why this is like a
really
million
depends.
dollar question. Like
Right.
you want to get this or that first. It depends
Right.
on the strategy. That's
Ah,
why the strategy, the
I
company
know the
itself.
answer. I know what to get first. Get funding first.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
funding to maintain, because if you don't have the funding, you cannot sustain the surge to get the merchants, the suppliers, and then the consumers, right? I think important is the funding, isn't it?
Yeah, the funding, and then of
Yeah.
course, because startup is not like one person show, it's a
Yeah.
collective effort in terms of the funding, the funder, the investors, the founders, and their top team, and of course, this kind of like product life cycle, when you go into the infant stage before you're going to the growth and then maturity and then decline, this is the quite
The
basic graph
classic.
we
Yeah.
into the product life cycle. This is the equation, or so-called the X factor or secret recipe. If the founder can manage it well, and they are really going into the trend that they need, like Alibaba. He
Hmm.
was actually one of the first few people that able to capitalize the market with limited or very little competitors. And it was a time that e-commerce is booming, and he was there. So that part of it is the success story of the startup or the company. So I think it depends on the market response, and whatever the founders or the top team is thinking about, they cannot just focusing into what I want to do. It's actually like what Jack Ma say, what customer want. You have to be very customer centric, and also the
Mm.
trend. And of course, you need the government to help you in, because I think government, they will have like MDEC, the Magic in Malaysia, the
Mm.
accelerator, the incubator, that they can have like the right people, the mentor, and also the right buy-in to also help to promote the message. So is the myth of the success of any startup, it actually comes down to what strategy the CEO is doing. So I think entrepreneur is really, they are like crazy intelligent people. And
I
Awesome.
agree. Yeah.
That's awesome, Jessica. Thank you.
I want to share a little bit on my hackathon experience. When I
Yeah.
was in Malaysia, I was invited to one or two hackathons. Hackathons is like the Shark Tank version of a university level. So you have the really ambitious coder. They will pair up with the business school people, and then they will have 2 to 3 coder, and then you have one product person. They will form a team, like a
Hmm.
person from 3 to 6 people, in within like say 72 hours, they come up with the business plan, and they try to pitch it to the judges, like people like us, and then we will think, okay, will it be scaled up into some project that can able to help. And I can see all these like student, the tech students, they were involved in that, and you can see that actually there's a lot of creative people with ideas, but they are lacking of how to say, the
Business
business
direction.
aspect of it. And of course, if you, like people like us, we've been working for like X amount of years, we, when we're in our career, at certain point we need to give back, and we need to come back to school and do some hackathons, and listen to these youngsters, what they're doing. Their ideas are brilliant, but of course the execution part, it comes into the biggest
Hmm.
challenge of that. So I think the whole society itself is not just the founder, the market, the government. It also comes with the young people, the workforce that is hungry. They are very because the young people is our future. So I just want to say that the hackathon experience let me see that if we listen to the younger people more, we actually can find our solution there. It's just that the matter of execution, we need people like us in the market for some time to help out. But sometimes you may get the answer from the younger generation because they are so close to the emerging market.
Mm.
Because they're the largest consumer base in the whole of Asia now, isn't it?
Yeah. And actually, when I think our spending power in Asia are quite okay, considered to
Yeah.
Americans now. I just think that for iPhone, like, the Clubhouse, they just get a, big boom in Clubhouse. I just see that a lot of youngsters can afford iPhones, For
Right.
me, during my study time, I'm not like super rich I was using a phone for about like 2 years.
You're using phone. I couldn't even afford to buy marbles to play.
But I think the first phone was I recycled my mom's phone. So that was, I don't want to say which year is that, but I just feel like students now actually they're living in a comfortable life because
Yeah.
iPhone is not cheap, and I was thinking, this is a good indicator to let me know
Yeah.
that who are the
So
people that have
so
spending
interesting.
power.
My last phone was a Note 5. I used it for almost 5 years, and then it got a little slow. And then I bought a used phone. I bought a used. Your mother gave you her phone, right?
Yeah.
I had to buy my current phone from my son. He bought it, and then he used it for I think 2 or 3 months. And then he said, "No, I don't like it. He wants to go back to the iPhone." So he bought I think what is this, a Xiaomi
Yeah.
Pro 8, something like that. So
Yeah.
I said, "No, I like Android. So okay, I'll buy it from you." So I bought it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the roles kind of reverse.
Yeah.
But I was hoping he would say, "No, I'll give it to you," but he said, "Okay, this is how much I'm going to charge you," and I said, "Okay."
Oh,
Sweet.
how sweet. Yeah. And one more thing before we jump into the next question. When
Right.
I was in school, I studied this called the PPP, the Purchasing Power Parity, something like that. Okay.
Aha.
They have this called,
Economics.
economics. They have this
Yeah.
called the Big Mac theory or
Yep.
equivalent of McDonald's because the pricing itself, they are done by the economists and the smart
Right.
people, they have researched it. Actually,
Yep.
the iPhone is also an indicator now. Let's
Yes.
not change it to the Big Mac
Yeah.
theory. We look into the iPhone theory now. It's like the
Mhm.
equivalent of your iPhone and how many people can buy. You can actually roughly calculate and roughly gauge, the spending power. And
Yeah.
that is a very good indicator in terms of doing a startup and doing customer behavior analysis. I
Mhm.
was just thinking about it that yesterday. I was thinking iPhone can be a very good indicator. Last time we talked Big Mac, now let's talk about iPhone
Yeah.
or phone equivalent, Xiaomi
Mm.
or whatever, Samsung.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For some of the guests that don't understand that, can you explain the either using the Big Mac or the iPhone on the as an economic indicator because of the price, I mean the currency fluctuations and exchange rates. Maybe you can just explain that a little bit.
Yeah, but I learned that during my third year of school.
So that's about what, 4 or 5 years ago.
No, but I will take it 4 5 years ago. But yes,
Okay.
I learned it in my final year, and
Okay.
because I always think that in business world you must understand the sensitivity of the customer behavior. Without this, or we can use something called big data now. Back then they don't
Hmm.
have it. A PPP is coming from this economist. I don't know who is the one who wrote this, but what he was trying to say is that if you want to gauge the purchasing power of any country, like in Japan or in US or in Cambodia, before you want to say something is expensive, just look into how much you're paying the Big Mac in your country.
Yep.
Say Malaysia, I'm not sure, because in Cambodia they do not even have like McDonald's franchise. So I can't even gauge that now in Cambodia. They don't have it McDonald's. They only have KFC.
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah.
Yes, this is some fun aspects of it in living in Cambodia. You get to know this. But say in Malaysia, I think it's about how much? $10 now? 10 ringgit?
About 10 or 12, I think. I haven't.
$10.99 for just the Big Mac.
Yeah. That's from a person that just went yesterday. I haven't gone to McDonald's in, I think, 3 years.
Hey, I have kids here, you know.
Yeah. And you don't eat, right?
Of course I do. I eat the chicken though.
Right.
Like chicken. So you can actually gauge it with, like, say Japan, and you will see that, say, they are, I don't know how many yen is it, but few thousand, I believe, or maybe I don't know how many thousands, but this is a measurement that you use to understand the inflations and also the purchasing power in that country. Because when you want to do a startup, or you want to sell a product, or you want to penetrate into a market in terms of your product, the first is that you have to look into the pricing side of it. And how to do a pricing side, you can actually buy stats lah, you know, from all this, you know, fancy, you know, research company like Gartner, and you know, all these
Gallup, Pew.
Yeah, but the most layman way of doing it is to just compare the food price in terms of like where they have an international presence, because this pricing is not like they just pluck it from the sky. They have done because it impact their whole entire balance sheet and their profit and loss. So when you take this as a measure or an indicator, you can roughly gauge that, oh, if I'm charging, say, a margin of, say, 50%, can I survive? You know, how I do my market competitive? Do I have a competitive advantage in that? So why I'm sharing this is because I often see startup or founder, they are quite weak in terms of, you know, they are good in problem solving. They are good in designing the product. Say he's from this, say, what's it called, Silicon Valley, you know, from you know, all this tech guy. But when it comes to businesses, that's why I say the hackathon is quite a good how to say setup. You have business people, you have a product people, and then you have coder in that. So that's why people say fintech. Is that the fin come first or the tech come first? What's the answer? What's the answer? Can I ask? What do you guys think? Is the fin come first or the tech come first?
I think you got to match the two, isn't it?
Yeah, that have to have an intersection point.
Right.
They both have their job to do, and my point is that if you have a strong product by understanding the pain point of the market without understanding the business model, the market segments, and the behavior of the market, you fail, because you're selling something that people do not want, or vice versa, you know, or you're selling too low, things like this. So back to that. Don't tell me that fintech is because F come before the T. That's why financial people comes first. And that's the banker will say, yeah, you know, we are important people, right? No, I think the product is important as well. So it's really your point of view, and what is your take in that. So there's no answer.
Maybe the catalyst is the individual entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? I think it always comes down to that, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's why I mentioned ethos, the ethos of it. What kind of segment you're serving? What is the reason you're founding this company? What is the mission and the visions? And if you don't have a goal congruent kind of strategy, or the entire senior management is not in sync with their missions, I think you can't really do it. So it's down to people now, people management and the workforce. And then the employment market comes next. And then what people we have to do with the HRDM in Malaysia, we have this higher human resource development fund, HRDM, sorry. Yeah. And why the human resources department is important, their reports. This is where we see we need the talent to drive the workforce and to drive the market. Once the product is done, the business model is done, then how? We need the people. So,
I agree, yeah. well, let's switch gears a little bit. Because you talked about the people and then you talked about the companies and the product, right?
Yeah.
We talked about social atmosphere. We talked about business environment. Let's talk about FDI, foreign direct investment. Okay. As far as I understand, FDI numbers have gone down. You know, maybe not just in 2020, but the starting of 2019, right? And it took a nosedive in 2020. Some countries in Southeast Asia did a little better than others. Um, Philippines and I'm not 100% sure. Is it Vietnam and Cambodia
I think
that their
Vietnam.
numbers went
Indonesia,
up,
right?
right?
Indonesia and Vietnam.
No, Philippines.
Hmm. Philippines,
Philippines and
Indonesia, and Vietnam.
no, I think it's only two countries.
Really?
I
Okay.
I might be wrong, but
Okay.
definitely Philippines and Jessica, was it Vietnam and Cambodia or
No, I think it's
Cambodia?
Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam.
Okay, okay.
Because
So yeah, go ahead.
not Malaysia. I think
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
recent Eurochan thing, I don't want to mention more, but
Okay.
we were not very friendly towards the foreign investors in that sense, the policy itself.
Yeah.
Let's
Do
stop
you
there.
think that started in 2019 or 2020?
The foreign, I think way before that, because
Yeah, I think.
um, my friends who are coming from overseas, even the way they are trying to apply for the what's it called, Malaysia second home,
Hmm.
I think they
they,
stopped that. They froze it.
yeah. And
Yeah,
I
they
have
froze
friends
it.
who really was in halfway of they bought the property in
Right.
KL, and I think it's above 2 million. And then they just say that if I knew it and
I wouldn't
I
have
got
done
to
it.
do it
Yeah.
earlier, I will not come to Malaysia, but I would rather go to, say, Vietnam or maybe not Singapore, because I think Singapore is just too crowded already. And
And a little expensive.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
expensive. And yeah, but
You know,
let's
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
okay. I think
Yeah.
Cambodia is actually opening up, but they are still not the top five. Maybe the
Mhm.
top 10 in South ASEAN. You can, it's
Mhm.
just very limited, right? ASEAN countries,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
they are really opening up. The property price in Cambodia is a lot expensive. It's more expensive
For
than
foreigners,
uh, FDI. I mean, like the investment in property. I think
right?
here in Cambodia is very expensive now. They are more expensive than per square feet in KL. I can't remember
Okay.
the pricing of it, but yeah, there's a lot of people coming from outside are looking into Cambodia because
Okay.
they're very friendly and vibrant in terms of the business
Right.
development.
Well, let me ask you this question. I've been reading, a lot of news around the world, and then, there's this, work from home, telecommuting, work in a resort and still do your work, right? Uh, so I am very attracted to that. Okay, so I would love to be in a situation where it's like a beach house and then do the work from that place. So if let's say that opportunity was given to you, which top two countries would you pick to be able to do that?
Number one,
And,
if
and yeah,
you ask me, I would like to go back to Philippines.
okay,
It's not that I say it with a reason, because I was there for about, I think, 1 to 2 months. I was doing the application with the SEC and the BSP,
uh
and
huh,
and I think that because the infrastructure itself, it can handle. If you say Cambodia, if you go like outside the outskirts of the in the province, you might not get internet. So I cannot say
mm,
Cambodia in that sense, because I'm working from home, right? That means that if my boss asks me to do something on Teams, I have to
mm,
respond it within the same day. I can't be
right,
climbing trees to get signal. Where is it, right?
right,
So
yeah,
that will also, I like the nice beaches and the scenery, but I have to balance it with in terms of
yes,
work-life balance as well.
right.
So I can't say Cambodia now, even though I'm like partially enjoying that part there. I would
Mhm.
Yeah.
say Philippines because the digital economy scene is quite vibrant and huge
Mhm.
in Philippines, and of course the food. I will pick number one Philippines. As a second, I don't want to say Vietnam, but I think Indonesia. I can actually
Is
look
it more
into.
towards Bali or let's say Jakarta? You have to say Bali.
I've been to Bali twice. Um, there are certain things I am actually fearful of because I think 10 years ago when I was there, there is like some bombers or some attack.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
that fearful of that. If it's not that issue, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty
Okay.
happy to stay in Indonesia, and I love Philippines. I want to say Cambodia, but I can't because of the three. You know, I'm still using 3G occasionally when I'm
Mm.
not connected to the Wi-Fi.
Even now?
Yeah, I'm
Even
using
now?
Maxis. No, okay, now it's 4G, but
Okay.
sometimes it can go to 3G when I'm not
It's not
connected.
bad.
Yeah,
It's not bad. You know the countries that you mentioned, even Cambodia. Yeah. Here's my personal belief.
yeah,
It's like okay, in Philippines the technology is here.
yeah.
Okay, but the people match the technology,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Right? Uh, in some countries that start with the letter M, we won't mention which one. They
yeah,
say the technology is here. We're fantastic, but the people mentality is here.
yeah.
That's my personal belief. And so there's a big mismatch between technology and infrastructure and a lot of the mentality. And I think I agree with your two countries that you mentioned. I really agree because like I said, the technology is here, but it's matching. It's not a
Mhm.
big disparity, and I
Right.
think that's important also, right? Like
Um,
even for your
yeah,
company.
yeah. And also because I'm in the tech scene, and without having connected, I'm really losing out because see, if your business is connected, say you know that I think I can't remember. I think last year, I'm not sure you guys know cryptocurrency, Binance.
Yeah, heard of it.
But yeah,
Okay, I'm
little
not going to
yeah.
that. I'm not going to do that. Say that Alibaba. There were a time that their server were down like I think 40 minutes or 1 hour or even 30 minutes. Do you know that is a huge impact in terms of business? Because
Mhm.
they are a big company, they are unicorns and they are bigger than that. And they already sort of like reach per minute how many transactions and how much you're doing it. And
Mhm.
if your infrastructure is not able to cope with the transactions, I think this will be a headache. That's why I look
Mhm.
into how the government will look into, building the infrastructure and how they actually have the view in terms of um, investing in the digital economy and how they take a stand in that. And of course, like myself, if I am not connected to the time I need to connect, I'm
Mhm.
facing out because I'm talking risk here as a compliance
Yeah.
officer. Information
Yeah.
has to be within my phone or my computer. I use VPN, by the way. If I do not have that, I need to mention I use VPN because it's customer information. If I do not have that, and and I need to, part of the compliance thing is that I need to report to the regulator. In Malaysia, I
Right.
think it's about 3 days. It's still okay. But in Cambodia, because it's high risk, I have to report anything that is suspicious or deemed unusual within 24 hours. If I do not
Okay.
get connected to the phone, I myself already like personally liable in terms of
Yeah.
all the regulation and of course being a compliance officer, I'm unable to be reporting on a timely manner. It
Right. Because
goes with the
you have
transaction.
a fiduciary responsibility to do that,
Yeah. And also,
right?
say if you are trading and you're doing cryptocurrency or you are doing like online banking and equivalent and stuff like that,
Mhm.
if you do not get connected, and of course, let's say that you're asking me now, you're not talking about 2 years ago where pandemic is not happening then. If you're asking me now, I will still say the two countries that you asked me and I answer you. But
Mhm.
2 years ago, it will be different. It will be entirely different story. I
Mhm.
would
Which
not.
two?
Huh?
Which two would you have picked 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think I would I think Cambodia because I really like Siem Reap, and the other one I like Hanoi a lot, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of
Okay.
developer there. I'm not sure whether the infrastructure is nice, but now I think Philippines because I've been there and I know that
Mhm.
the people are quite savvy in terms of digital economy
Yep.
and
Mhm.
digital stuff. I know because I've been there and I know that I can even the disparity like what you say the province or the
Mhm.
outskirts they are not too huge, the
Right.
disparity.
Yeah.
Like what I don't want to say the M thingy, but let's say in
Yeah.
Cambodia, that is the strange things about the digital economy in Cambodia is that there are people without phones in the province.
Mhm.
And then they are
Like
the
village is really village, right?
the provinces, and they are
Yeah.
the total unbanked people. And suddenly, because of COVID, people are scared of the notes and the physical touching kind of transaction. Suddenly, they are now using QR code. They are using like
Mhm.
mobile apps,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
it's a very strange phenomenon that I'm observing in Cambodia. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Cool.
Awesome. Dee, do you have maybe one or two final questions for Jessica? Because we're coming up on just about an hour.
Hmm.
We don't want Jessica to go to have her dinner too late,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, we
Yep.
have
Yeah.
to make sure that I maintain my figure as well. So
Yes.
in terms of
Yes.
Exactly.
my health, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, right now I'm good here. And I don't want to keep Jessica too long. We promised her 1 hour, and
Okay.
you know,
Okay,
Well, I have one final question.
please.
Let's say cryptocurrency. I cannot think of a company or a company, if let's say I name a name that we would recognize it. I cannot think of a company that accepts cryptocurrency right now. Is there?
There are.
Um,
There are
like
plenty.
like who? I haven't come across any in Asia. In Asia?
I
Okay.
believe
Let,
Philippines, right? They're very big on crypto.
okay, I can't give you the specific names, but
Mm-hmm.
let's talk
Right?
about
Okay.
can you buy you a Coke using cryptocurrency? I think this is what you want to hear.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I
Uh,
can. Right?
Yeah, I think I just just change your question a little bit, just make it a bit more
Okay.
lifestyle. Can I
Sure.
use cryptocurrency to buy big a can of Coke,
Large.
or I can
Uh,
use it
or a car.
or card? Okay, there are two things you have. I mean, maybe there are two more elements, but I just want to share with you these two elements. The first is that you have to see whether the country is able to accept or regulate cryptocurrency. In
Mm.
Malaysia, for example, yes, you can. That is considered Bitcoin. There are three coins that is considered legal tender, which means that you are as good as USD,
Mhm.
renminbi, equivalent of the currency. I think you know how currency comes up, right? Because of the reserve in
Right.
the bank, right? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So in Malaysia, there is a clause that to say that they actually recognize cryptocurrency as a legal tender. But of course, at the moment, um, they also have exchanges that use, they trade coins. Now, country like Malaysia, yes, you can use cryptocurrency. Okay, let's stop there first. Say
Mm.
Singapore, they never say no, but they didn't say anything. It's a gray area. Okay,
Mm.
Cambodia, outright prohibited. You cannot
Oh,
use
okay.
cryptocurrency. So when a country
You
that
can
says
own, but you cannot use,
no,
right?
cryptocurrency in Cambodia is strictly prohibited. You can't
So
use
nobody can
anything.
own.
You can't even trade. If I mean, like people are doing it
Ah, okay.
quietly, but of course they are not reporting their investment income, right?
Sure.
Because once
Right.
you get investments or your say investment purpose, you have no way to report your income or your taxes, right? So in Cambodia, it's an outright no. Okay, so
Mm.
say the next thing is that say I know that in Japan, their country is regulating it, and of course 2 years ago, I think I saw an article to say that you can actually use cryptocurrency to buy a kind of Coke because they actually accept, the one of the distinct feature of a cryptocurrency is that they have they are able to have how to say, you can break down to the small values like
The
zero,
fractions.
yeah,
Yeah.
the small fractions. And of course, is in Bitcoin we call it point 18 Satoshi,
Mm.
0.000000000, 18 of it. So you can break down to that small fraction of values in that. So if there is an ATM machine that accepts cryptocurrency, or like the terminal is able to accept, yeah, voila, you can use it. But of
Mm.
course, you have to understand, number one is that the country's policy in place that they can accept or trade or use cryptocurrency. Number one, find out. Secondly, you have to see which industry are regulating it, or they can
Mm.
actually accept that, because it's like a merchant and a user kind of relationship.
Right, because now
Mhm.
we have users, right? But we don't really have merchants yet, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm a little bit outdated in KL, but I think last time there's one car seller was accepting
Yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago.
yeah, but
Yeah,
if
yeah.
Bitcoin is a legal tender, those so SC Malaysia and Bank Negara, SC Malaysia actually did voice out that they actually think that the differences between a utility coin and a security coin is that utility are considered like generic
Mm-hmm.
notes and currencies. So they accept BTC, Ethereum, and XRP, which is Ripple. But other than that, you can't really use it in Malaysia, like XYZ
Mm.
coin, that kind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So cryptocurrency is a very good means of fundraising as well. That's why they say, oh, let's have XYZ coin, and we have the ecosystem. You can build in a smart
Yeah.
city. You can use it within us.
Yeah.
So this is another topic that we will talk next time.
Yeah.
But
Sounds good.
cryptocurrency is actually tapping on the peer-to-peer payments in
Mhm.
Right.
digital world. So yeah, I like that paper a lot from Satoshi Nakamoto
Mhm.
back in
Mm-hmm.
2009. He is still someone that we don't know how he looks
We
like.
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't really know him, right?
I
Yep.
suspect he's a white dude. I think so. He's not Japanese.
Maybe it's Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back from the future into our time.
Because the reason that if he reveals his identity, he will get himself into trouble he will go into a lot of investigation by the SEC and a lot of
Mm.
people in this world. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
he basically created a non-fiat currency,
yeah,
which
and it solved the problem.
right,
Yep.
and but it also created a lot of problems for world currencies.
Yeah,
It's like if we really think about it, we can actually bypass US dollar, Japanese yen, and all the currencies, and we just use well, I don't know if it's going to be Bitcoin, but we use variations of cryptocurrency, right?
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we would bypass all of that.
Just like the Silk Road, right? In some other form, in some legal form, right?
I have a belief, and I still think the Rothschild family,
Rothschilds, yeah,
Rothschild family, technically, like they are the richest guy, but they are the silent guy. I think the past 1 year they were doing a lot of swapping from fiat to crypto, and the movements of all these big cryptocurrency, going up like so high in the past
yeah,
2 months. I think
yep,
they were doing a lot of movement behind the
maybe,
whole scene.
I
yeah,
always thought it was China, the
The
people
people
in
that
China. Yeah.
yeah, and also in China they like the USTD. They
Hmm.
actually in
Right.
Cambodia. If I'm not supposed to say this, but a lot of people open the wallet. You can see that wow, but they're Chinese national, so they are not bound by the Cambodian law, so
Right. Exactly.
right, right. Well, I think we had a very interesting conversation talking about
Yes.
lifestyle, social impact, environment. Now we know which is the country, or which is the one or two countries we should go to if we have the opportunity to work remotely.
Hmm.
And I want to thank you, Jessica, for the time that you shared together with us. And is there anything that you want to share? It can be anything that pops in your mind, just as a parting piece of knowledge or a parting advice or wishes for everybody listening before we end our session this evening.
Yeah, I think at this moment now where we are also still in the middle of pandemic, I think we should actually take a time to really reflect like
Mm.
what we have before. Like we may not have the luxury of having it now, but
Mm-hmm.
also we have to look into the future by upskilling ourselves and really it's a mindset change because things are
I love
moving.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
And
I love
yeah,
that.
and I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people always complain that, last time, the last time, I don't know when he was referring to or he or she referring to, but I know that if you still keep on talking about last time, you cannot cope with end of this year. I think this pandemic, until everyone get vaccinated, is going to be um, not solved in 2021. I think it's still going to go longer than that. So we
Mm-hmm.
need
Yeah.
to get ourselves prepped and we
Yeah.
need to, look into the tech stuff. I am an accounting student, so I do not know tech, and I evolve and I go with the I learn from people, and I think to able to survive in this world now, you really need to open your eyes and be daring to accept changes because really
Mm-hmm.
it's not that people are killing each other. It's there are like some diseases. The virus as the best startup. I think they actually conquer the world within a year, and this
Mm-hmm.
COVID
Yeah.
is like the best startup ever.
The best MLM.
Yeah, the best MLM. So
Yeah.
yeah, we are fighting with them. So I think
Yeah.
we just need to really get ourselves prepped for the future. So
Yeah.
please be patient with everything and be caring, be kind, and love each other. And we are going to the digital world now. So we
Awesome.
must do this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Let's give her a
Jessica.
hand.
Thank you. And
Okay. Do you wanna close it out for us before I end our live
Sure.
stream?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say thank you as well, Jessica, and please do stay safe. Hopefully, we can meet up when you come back in the
March.
next
No,
month.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. We don't meet up when she comes back. We meet up in the Philippines or Indonesia, D.
Okay, well,
Please.
before that, she's going to be coming back here before that. So hopefully,
Yeah.
we can maybe get a chance to have a cup of coffee, kind of pick your mind a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
wonderful session. I enjoyed it so much. And
Great.
Awesome.
Thank
bye
you
Thank
bye.
so
you.
much.
Take
Okay.
care. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye
Good night,
bye.
everyone. We're gonna end our live stream right now.